Hey, this is Travis Kelly here with Brian Tucker for the AgTechnologies Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about farm shows and the PTI Farm. We're going to have a special guest give us an update on the PTI Farm, and we're also going to be talking about harvest and getting into our preseason planning for this next year. So, hey, I'm Travis Kelly.
And I'm Brian Tucker.
And this is the AgTechnologies Podcast. So we were wanting to start this podcast to just update everybody what we've got going on and what we're seeing in the industry as it's related to precision ag and just other things that we're seeing. We've been in the industry for quite a while as a business, but our history comes from different things in technology and farming backgrounds. I've been in precision ag for a little over 20 years now, and this is kind of the passion that we've all grown to love, and we just wanted to be able to get some more information out on things that are going on with us and things that we're seeing around. And Tucker?
Yeah, I'm I'm excited about starting the podcast. I know we see a lot of things in the field every day. We kind of give each other updates on what's going on. I just think it's important. I don't know. I think podcasting is a good medium to get stuff out there to farmers. As we see stuff, we can get stuff out to people. So yeah, just excited about it. I've been here with AgTechnologies for 3 years now. I'm a little more planner focused, but yeah, no, really excited to get it started.
Great. Well, we mainly wanted to talk today a little bit about some of the things that we've been seeing, some farm shows that we've been to this year and this summer especially. We kind of take time during the summer to learn more ourselves, going to farm shows, and what we're going to talk about the PTI Farm here in a few minutes also, and some resources related to that. But we use a lot of this time of year when things kind of get caught up. Obviously, we're getting things ready for harvest and everything else going into the fall, and we do a lot of farm shows in the summer. So we've had I know we had the Young Farmer and Rancher show in Jekyll Island. That was a good show for us. And then we also had the Southeast Peanut Grower Conference down in Panama City. That was a good show this year. Also, is there anything at the Farmers and Ranchers show that you wanted to talk about?
No, I mean it was a good show. I've always enjoyed that one. Getting together with that's a community of kind of young agriculturalists. A lot of them kind of getting started or trying to transition into owning farms, and I don't know. It's always just fun to kind of get their perspective on things and kind of talk through some similar struggles that other people are having. Kind of in my age range. So, but no, overall it's good. Had a lot of good conversations. Folks were interested in talking about planters, maybe upgrading some stuff on their planters and some guidance system stuff and control, sprayer controls and applications. So, no, had a lot of good conversations, and it was a really good show overall.
Yeah, and the Southeast Peanut Grower Conference was actually really well attended this year. They kind of combined it with some of the other events going on with some of the other graduations and things that they had going on with the industry related groups there. And there was obviously a lot of people there with just the peanut industry in general. Obviously, it's a hot topic right now. There's a lot of peanuts being grown in Georgia and our surrounding region. So we definitely saw a lot of people this year, which was a good thing. I guess the bigger one that was more of an educational thing for us was the PTI Farm. I guess now that's been what 2 weeks ago that you were at the PTI Farm. So
right.
So yeah, we try to send somebody out every year to the PTI Farm, and that's the Precision Technology Institute. That's their farm out in Illinois. And if you don't know anything about it, there's plenty of resources out there that you can find, and we can provide also that will get you up to speed on what they do out there, and it's definitely not a once in a lifetime situation. I know we've taken some growers out there that seem to want to go back multiple times, which means they must have gotten something good out of it. So, what do you think was probably your biggest takeaways this year, or if you want to kind of explain what the PTI Farm, your version of what it is to you, I guess.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I guess just kind of a little bit of an explanation of what it is. It's precision planting. I think it's a 400-acre farm where they run trials on where there's precision planting products or kind of any agricultural products across the industry that they want to test there on that farm. Like you said, this was my second year going back to it. And I think there's a couple trials that were kind of scheduled as longer term trials, more like 5 or 10 year trials that I heard the same thing about. But kind of to go back to your point, like it's not just a once in a lifetime trip. They're constantly trying new things, constantly have new trials. I like so just kind of how it's scheduled. The first half of the day you go out and you get to go to what they call like the sandbox, where you get to actually, if you want to get on a tractor with a planter hook to it and see what their precision planting technology is like, or if you want to get in on with the sprayer while it's got their sprayer products. I know this year they had the outrun system, the autonomous PTX system that's coming out. So they have a lot of different things, land leveling, all these different products that they have. They give you a chance to actually get hands on with it, so that kind of what questions to ask. So that's always really fun, and they always have different products out there for you to put your hands on. And then the second half of the day, they take you around and they show the different trials they have going on. And I can't remember the exact number, but it's like over 150 trials that they have going on right now at the PTX farm. So yeah, no, it was just really good. I don't know if you want to hear some specific ones that they had or not, but no, yeah, it was really good this year.
Yeah, and I guess we talk about precision planting, and obviously that's where this thing originated. Now with the joining with the PTX options, with guidance and water management, has definitely opened up a lot of the things that they're doing out there. But it's really not just product related. You're not getting hit over the head with products while you're out there. They do all sorts of agronomic stuff. There's tons of different things that they do that they're testing out there, which is just really impressive. I know last year, when I was out there, the really cool one that I saw was that green lightning. They were using to essentially harness the free nitrogen in the air, and where you could essentially take water that's been essentially infused with nitrogen, and put it foliar or in drip irrigation or whatever you want to do. Like, it was actually just like shooting nitrogen straight to the plant. And I'd like to look at an update on where they're at with that stuff. It was really interesting last year for sure, when we were out there. But and I know you mentioned the thing about the little moisture balls or whatever that y'all saw out there this year, that was sounding kind of like a neat thing too. So
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It was I believe it's called micro gel. But anyway, it's like these little, the best way I can describe it's like the little Orby balls, and they were putting it out through through where you would have like your insecticide on your planter, and pretty much put it in furrow, and what they were testing to see is like specifically like in dry land applications, whether those little balls they absorb moisture, so whether they could absorb moisture and hold moisture there by the seed, specifically in like some dry land applications. It's one that they didn't have any data on yet, but it was one that they had started testing. So I thought that was a pretty cool one. And just to go back to kind of like what you're saying, they don't just hit you on the head with like products. They one of the stops on the tour, they made us all get off the little what they call people movers. The carts they drive you around on. They made everybody get off, gave you a little digging tool, and they'd gone through and planted. I think they had like a 6-row planter. They had planted a little swath, and they made everybody get out and dig seeds in the trench. And they had set the delta force. So on precision planters, the delta force is the down force option on the precision planters. they had set those differently on each row to give each furrow kind of a different environment. So some of them had too much compaction. Some rows had too much compaction. Some rows were not compact enough, didn't have the furrow integrity. Some might have been set too deep, too shallow. But anyway, they really give you a hands-on experience of, let's dig down there. Let's see what we're looking for. Let's figure out how to make those changes and be more productive, because they're all about, you got to have that quick emergence to have the yield potential, right? So how can we make sure that we have the quickest emergence, the most even emergence, so that we can have the best yield potential in the end?
And the cool thing about all that too, to me, is that it's really, for a lot of people, there's a lot of people that have scratched for seed and depth and things like that. But there's a lot of people that have no clue even how a seed makes it into the furrow in general. So I know last year when we were there was a big tour bus that showed up, and those people that definitely never been on the farm before. So I think it's really cool. Just they're obviously not going to pick up on the technology and everything, but just having some agricultural awareness, I guess, in general, is a nice place. And Jason Webster, who we'll hear from in a few minutes, he's just so enthusiastic, and that's really his baby. I mean, like, they've essentially given him this big playground that he can go out there and just do, I mean, obviously very important things, but things that he has a passion for, and you can tell it too in the way he describes stuff. And it's really cool just being out there and letting him explain, like, literally firsthand what all goes into it. Not to mention, and I know we've talked about it before, about how, like, if I could go back in time and be a intern out there, like, that's like the coolest thing to me. I mean, there's no telling how much stuff you've learned just from one summer being out there, and it's still work, obviously. I mean, I know those guys, every time we've been there, they're running around like crazy, working on trials and doing different things and just doing standard farm work and all too. But it's a really cool opportunity. They always have a lot of interns out there every summer also. But
Yeah, that's one funny story about the interns there. Another one of their trials or things that they're looking at is specifically like the leaf orientation on the corn plants. And so so for instance, if you have your rows planted like north and south, you would want your leaf orientation on your corn plants to be east and west. So that gives it the greatest capacity for sunlight. And so what they had kind of seen is, just kind of naturally, about, from what they were saying, like 28% of the corn leaves have an incorrect orientation. And what they've seen is that causes about like a 9.3% yield loss, or yield potential loss, just from the leaf orientation on the plants. And they were trying to figure out different ways of how can they increase the number of plants that have the correct orientation. And one of the things they were looking at is, the seed orientation in the furrow, whether the tips down, left, right, up, down, whatever, trying different seed orientations. And then Jason was like, we don't have a planter necessarily that can do that yet, but we do have interns. So their interns are out there hand planting these whole trials. What's that?
It's called a finger pickup.
The finger meter. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's like we were talking about the other day too, about that high yield trial that I saw last year that they were doing, where they were essentially skipping a swath and had the livestock mover coming through to fertilize and all that. And that was part of the reason for the high yield, was the allowing more sunlight to get to those other inside plants that might have actually had a whole nother swath lined up beside it previously. But since they were skipping swaths, they actually had more sunlight getting through, getting to all the corn plants. So that was really neat to see, not to mention how they were getting their fertilizer and all in there, which was all natural. So that was pretty cool too. So I do know, I mean, out there, I know they added some of the water management stuff. Obviously, they've got the Symphony on the sprayers now with the cameras and everything. The Outrun, which I was just out there for the training for in July also. So the autonomous grain cart. all those things are really cool that they've added on this a lot higher technology stuff. I guess I know while you were there, you got to talk with Jason a good bit, and he, was able to explain some things to you. And I think we had a little snippet of that. If we wanted to try to play that today for everybody, so we can kind of hear what Jason has to say about the farm itself. So we'll go ahead and play that and let everybody hear what Jason has to say about the PTI farm.
All right. So I know we got a lot of guys around our area that have certainly never been up here, maybe don't even know what it is. Can you just kind of describe what PTI Farm is?
Yeah, the PTI Farm is Precision Planting's 400-acre on-farm research site where our goal and our mission here is to challenge the status quo. We want to take the management practices the farmers have been implementing on their farm for years. It's what Dad and Granddad taught them how to do, and they've done it so long, they're in this comfortable bubble, if you will. They know how to do it, and they're not going to change. Well, we feel here that we want the confirmation or the check mark saying, okay, those practices we are doing, they're the best. And what do I mean by the best? They're the ones giving us the highest yield, or more importantly, giving me the highest profit per acre. And it's a check mark saying, yeah, we're doing good. If we do things different and they win, they're better, they're giving me the higher yield or the more profit, that tells me that I probably need to consider some changes in my operation. But change is difficult for a lot of farmers. Just saying the word change scares people. If I can test something and prove it's going to be better, it's easier to accept that change. So we know putting trials and plots in is difficult for farmers. It takes time, it takes money. Academia says that if you're going to test something and prove whether it's repeatable, you got to rep it out 3 times for 3 years. Most farmers can't do that. There's not enough time and money, and that's why we do it here.
All right, so we just read around. We looked at a lot of different trials that you are doing. It's probably hard to pick out one, but what's one that maybe excites you the most, or that maybe might be a pet for you? Give me one that really just sticks out.
Yeah, I think the one, well, there's many, but I've got a traffic management trial that we're working on. We're monitoring every pass we make in the field. We're identifying, that tire mark we're putting in the row, and we're measuring yield. And one of the things that I think we need in the marketplace right now is a smart corn head to show us where we make these tire tracks in the field. What's the yield loss? What is the compaction level? What is the yield loss associated with it? I want to know it on a row by row basis. Our planters today, you get a precision planting planter, and our row units measure everything row to row to row, and it sends that data in real time up to the monitor in the cab. How come we can't get that on a corn head? And so we're going out looking at every pass we make in the field. Where is that tire mark at? And did we get compaction? Did we get yield loss from it? If we did, how much? And then we figure out, how do we get rid of this? How do I streamline my equipment size and make it so I'm limiting tire traffic and limiting compaction? It's one of the newest studies on the farm. It's designed as a 10-year study. And we're really going to look at this over time and say, what is the compaction we're doing and how does it relate to yield by the row? It's incredible. So I'm going to have to do this until I get my smart corn head, I guess, if you will.
That's right. All right. So when we're going on the tour just then, we stopped by one place where you were looking at the broadcast versus banded fertilizer. Okay. And I know when you were kind of telling some of the results, I won't give them away, but when you're telling some of the results, there's a little bit of pushback. Well, is it hurting my yield? Mm-hmm. All right. So kind of talk a little bit about maybe some of the results there and why maybe yield might not be the only thing that you're looking at.
Exactly. So we band versus broadcast every single year. This is another 10-year study at the farm. We'll soil test after we harvest. The soil lab will tell us how many pounds of fertilizer we need to apply. And we'll go do it. We'll broadcast it, and then we band it with our strip till rig. But then we take the opportunity to reduce that rate of fertilizer by 25% all the way down to 0. So again, a 10-year study, I'm putting 0 pounds of fertilizer in the same strip for 10 years. So I asked the group today, I said, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One, if I put 0 pounds of fertilizer around for 10 years, will it bring my soil test levels down? And to date, I've got 4 years of data of the 10-year study, and I have brought soil test levels down on phosphorus from I think a 69 to a 45 pounds per acre. Potassium, I think it was a 390 down to a 334. So yes, I've drawn down a bit, but I don't think those are real impressive numbers. The real difference, though, is yield and profitability. Due to the cost of fertilizer this fall, DAP especially, may be approaching $1,000 a ton. My guess right now is, based on the commodity price for corn and the cost of DAP fertilizer, it's going to cost 50 bushel of corn just to break even to pay for this fertilizer. So we're going through this 4 years of data in our 10-year study where 4 years of no fertilizer at all, and it's actually making us over $100 more on a per acre basis versus cash flowing 100% rates of fertilizer and broadcasting it. So this is where we tell growers, on a year like this where we have super high fertilizer, we need to be able to flex. I can't change the cost. I can't change the prices of these products, but I can do things like strip tilling and banding fertilizer and reducing the rate of fertilizer to bring that cost down. That's what's going to make us more profitable on a per acre basis. But this high price of fertilizer, I mean, I don't know how it fits into the budget. I mean, you just can't. I mean, something that's going to cost me 50 bushel of corn. We got to do something to fix this thing, because right now it's not in the budget.
All right, so last one for you. I know you're a busy man. All right, we got all these trials going out here. I think you might have said like 160 different trials. Mm-hmm. How do you decide what trials you're going to do on the farm?
How do we decide what trials to put at the farm? No one comes to me and says, hey, you really need to test this, you really need to test that. We have farmers that come to us and say, oh, it'd be great if you would test it, and we'll consider it. If it's appropriate, we'll do it. I would say 40 to 50% of the farm is precision planting technology or AGCO technology that we're showcasing and showing folks how we're using it. But that other, 40 to 60% is us farming the farm and trying to bring new methodology in, other equipment, other technology. It's not just AGCO equipment here. We got to keep this farm fresh and unique. And I want all the new technology coming in here. I don't care if it's AGCOs or precision plantings. I don't care whose it is. We got to get it in here at this farm, use it, show people what it is, how it works, and then show the numbers of it. We're going to show yield and then ultimately ROI.
Well, that's awesome hearing from him directly and getting that clip. It's really neat seeing how they obviously adapt year to year on how to change with, obviously he's looking at the money side of things right now and doing those trials with the fertilizer and all. I'm sure that's what a lot of people would be wanting to hear the results of, even though it may not be something feasible that you could do, but it's at least something that he's trying, and the customer's not having to pay out of their own pocket to try that out. So if y'all want to look and see, Jason does a really good job putting out updates of what's going on the farm. I mean, there's things on the Precision Podcast also. There's a lot of different things out there that can give you up-to-date information about what's going on out at the PTI Farm. But going in person is really cool too. The only thing that really costs you is the travel to get there. So if you ever have an opportunity to go, we definitely think it's worth your time for sure. And you'll always either learn something or get intrigued by something, or just get to see the different farming operations. I know we were talking about earlier about how just going out there and seeing all the huge grain bins and that kind of stuff is just so much different than what we're used to seeing around here. And we've got more of that here than we used to, but it's just different. Like when you see one of these big mother bin grain carts pull into the field or whatever, like we don't have that kind of stuff down here in the South. So just going to see the different operations out that way is really cool also. And just if you're kind of a student of agriculture, just learning how different people do things in different regions, even if it wouldn't work here, it's still not a bad thing to get to see and understand what's going on there. I guess he did make the comment about how they try everything, like they try every technology, and you can see that when you get out there. Obviously, it is AGCO based on most of their stuff. Now you see a lot of Fendt tractors and that kind of stuff out there, but like one thing in particular is like the Outrun system, which is the autonomous grain cart. It's mainly being developed on the John Deere 8R right now. So obviously there's a lot of equipment out there that's not just AGCO or Precision Planting or PTX Trimble. It's all over the board. So you get a lot of good sample set from everything they're doing out there. So talking about different equipment, one thing I wanted to talk about today a little bit, we got yield. Obviously we're harvesting right now. Some of the things we've been seeing here lately is a lot of information around yield monitoring, and people calibrate yield monitors. There's a lot of information around about that, grain moisture testers, all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Obviously, we work with a lot of guys with getting their yield monitors up and going, whether it's just getting GPS into a factory fit option that they already have, or I know here recently we put on a full universal kit on an older case combine, and that seems to be working really well. And that just works through a tablet. Not a big deal, but it seems to be working really well from what we've seen so far, especially for a unit that didn't have the option to have yield monitor on it previously. And then we also have the yield sense from Precision Planting. That's going to work with the 2020 monitor. That is a phenomenal system. And if you're already running a precision planter and you're not running your planter at that time, obviously you can reuse the display. The data is very similar as far as like seeing where things are flowing. You're familiar with the screen already if you have that. And then obviously if you see what Precision has done with those kits, you'll look at the paddle upgrades. They do a lot of things with the whole combine that just makes things a little bit better. And that's what they're good at, is taking a factory option and just making it a little bit better. So most of the yield sense ones that we've done have been on mostly on deer combines is what we've done the majority on. And those have turned out really well. Most of the time they're using part of the factory system and then adding on something from Precision. Also, obviously, the monitor is one thing that adds on there that helps a lot in just viewing the data. So we really enjoy working on those yield monitors, giving the guys the data feedback from seeing how the planting went, especially if we're helping them plant with the precision planter also. And those are really good options. If y'all have any questions on that, we can hopefully answer them if it comes up. But there are a lot of retrofit options for yield monitors out there, even on combines that you think may not have the possibility. So one of the last things I wanted to talk about today was our sprayers. We've got the Symphony PWM spray control system now. We've got the cameras that go along with them. You can find all sorts of information online about these things, but the main thing that we've seen with these sprayers right now is adding these kits on the sprayer. It is a every tip PWM nozzle control system. And obviously we still got some spraying left to do in this season and then making plans for the next season. A lot of guys are looking at, sprayer cost and do we keep running the one we got, or do we go to a 3-point, or, whatever it may be. And with the Symphony system, you can take it and put it on really any sprayer. So that's one thing we've really liked. I know we've looked at the nozzles on those. The actual solenoids are the main component on those nozzle bodies, and then what they've done differently is taken the control portions of the nozzle and made it into a different module that is it actually will control 4 of the nozzles. So when you've got guys that are concerned about the cost of the nozzle, that takes the individual cost of the nozzle down a lot. Did you get much feedback? So Tucker was at the farm show last week in South Florida. Did you get to show it off much last week or get much feedback? I know that was more of a specialty crop situation, but what did you see down there?
Yeah, that was definitely a new experience for me down there. A lot different agriculture than what I'm used to here in South Georgia. But I did get to talk to a couple of guys about Symphony specifically. So they were interested. They thought it was the main thing that them and most people like is what you were just describing, just having the nozzles and what I call out the brain separated, right? And it's it's serviceable. It's easy to maintain. If something happens, you can replace small parts and not the whole
Right.
smart system, with it. So yeah, that was what most people liked. Had a little bit of interest in it. Again, that was just kind of my first time down in those parts. So definitely some different agriculture happening in that Central Florida area.
Yeah. And one thing about the Symphony also is, and this is about precision in general, they're really good about when you buy a piece of equipment, it's yours. Like if you buy a piece of hardware, that's the unlock. Like you're not having to buy activations, you're not having to buy unlocks. So when you put that in there, that's going to be what it is. So when you add the Symphony on there, there's no subscriptions to it or anything. And then if you say, well, I'm ready to go to camera technology, well, there's already plugins on the boom for it. You can add the camera and essentially just bind the camera to add that technology. Now, if you want to do the panorama and start streaming the data back and forth and all that, obviously there's going to be some fees, with that, but that's an added feature that's not particularly required. And that's one thing that we just really like with partnering with Precision is you do get a lot out of the equipment that you're buying because you can keep adding to it and you can keep moving with, if you want to add the cameras for just scouting to start with, and then you want to start actually doing some, actual spot spraying with it, you can do that. So that's one really cool add-on with those that we can help growers take a sprayer that they already own and do more with it the same way we've done with the planters. So I guess just kind of wrapping up, we just wanted to throw some of these things out here for the first episode here, and we know we're going to try to keep y'all updated as we're moving through the season, moving through harvest. We're going to try to keep coming back and giving more updates and hopefully giving good information to help it be worth your time. I guess Tucker, you got anything you want to add to the end here?
No, just hope everybody has a safe harvest. One thing I'll like to go back on what Jason had said in his in a little interview that we did. One thing I really like about precision planting, or just in general, I feel like this what AgTechnologies, what we believe in too, is just making every acre more profitable. And to do that through monitoring, like you're talking about, because we can't really change anything if we don't know where the problems are, or if we don't know where we're excelling or where we're failing. We got to know what's happening where. And I think all the pieces that we talked about today kind of help us move in that direction, hopefully becoming more profitable.
Right. What was our slogan last summer? If you can't control it, or you can't measure it, you can't control it.
That's right.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of tools to help do that too. So right now, this time of year, obviously yield, the cameras are a measuring tool going in with the sprayers. And I know that's some taboo conversation with some folks because it seems like it's light years ahead. And it is in some cases, but there are people using it and having success with it also. So, and with the way chemical costs are right now, we got to explore any avenue we can. So, and we're here to hopefully help people explore those things with less pain and hopefully a little trust that we're going to help them get where they need to go. So we appreciate everybody's time today, and we really look forward to providing more information as we continue on through this journey with you. And we thank y'all, and we'll talk with y'all next episode.